The last camera in the mall. Most people think malls are quiet at night. They're wrong. They're loud in a different way. When thousands of people leave a building all at once, the silence they leave behind feels unnatural, like the place is holding its breath. That's something you learn quickly working night security. My name is Daniel Carter, and for the last 3 years I've worked the night shift at Westbrook Mall, just outside Chicago. The mall closes at 10 p.m. My shift starts at midnight. 6 hours of empty hallways, flickering lights, and security cameras. Most nights are boring. I sit in the security office behind the food court, drink bad coffee, and watch the cameras until morning. Nothing ever happens. At least, nothing used to. That night started like every other. I arrived at 11:55 p.m. I scanned my badge at the employee entrance and walked through the back hallway toward the security office. The mall was already closed. Every storefront gate was down. The escalators were turned off. Cleaning crews had already finished. The building was empty, just the way I liked it. I unlocked the security office door and stepped inside. 6 monitors lit up the room with a cold blue glow. 32 camera feeds, every hallway, every entrance, every escalator, standard stuff. I dropped into my chair, kicked my feet up on the desk, and started my routine. First rule of night security, always check the cameras. Most guards just scroll through them quickly, but after 3 years, I had developed a habit of studying each one. Hallway, parking garage, food court, electronics store, north entrance. Everything looked exactly like it always did. Empty, still, quiet. I took a sip of coffee and leaned back. Another long, boring night. Or so I thought. Around 1:47 a.m., something changed. At first, I didn't even notice it. My eyes were half focused on the screens when one of the feeds caught my attention. Camera 17. The one facing the children's play area, near the center of the mall. I leaned forward slightly. At first glance, it looked normal. The play area was empty, plastic slides, colorful foam mats, the small climbing structure, everything exactly where it should be. But something about the image felt wrong. I squinted at the monitor. Then I realized what it was. Someone was standing there, a small figure, right in the middle of the play area. I sat up straight. A kid, maybe 6 or 7 years old, just standing there, not moving. I stared at the screen for several seconds. The mall had been closed for almost 4 hours. There was no way a kid should still be inside. My first thought was simple. A parent must have forgotten their child, which sounded ridiculous even as I thought it. Still, kids wander, parents get distracted. It happens. But something about this felt wrong. The child wasn't playing, wasn't moving, wasn't even looking around. He was just standing there, perfectly still, like a mannequin. I leaned closer to the monitor. "Hello?" I muttered to myself. Of course, the kid couldn't hear me, but I kept watching. 10 seconds passed, 20, 30. The child didn't move, not even a little. A cold feeling crept into the back of my neck. I grabbed the mouse and zoomed in on the camera feed. The image sharpened. And that's when things got strange. The kid wasn't looking at the play area. He wasn't looking at the floor. He was looking directly at the camera. Not just looking, staring. Right into it. Right into the lens. Right at me. I felt a strange chill run through my arms. People look at cameras sometimes, kids especially. But this was different. The kid's face didn't change. No blinking, no movement. Just staring. I rubbed my eyes. "Okay," I muttered. "That's weird." I picked up the radio on my desk, even though I already knew the answer. "Maintenance. You still in the building?" Static. No response. The cleaning crew had left hours ago, which meant there were only 2 possibilities. Either the kid had been hiding inside the mall for hours, or someone had brought him in. Neither made sense. Still staring at the screen, I grabbed my flashlight and stood up. Protocol was simple. You'd check the situation, escort the kid out, call the police if necessary. Nothing complicated. But before leaving the office, I looked back at the monitor one more time. The kid was still staring at the camera. Not moving. Not blinking. Just staring. Something about that stare made my stomach tighten. But I pushed the feeling aside. Kids are weird. They do strange things. I opened the security office door and stepped into the empty hallway. The mall was dark except for the emergency lights. Rows of closed stores. Silent escalators. Echoing footsteps. I started walking toward the play area. It was about a 2-minute walk from the security office. As I walked, I kept replaying the image in my head. That stare, that stillness. It didn't feel like a lost kid. It felt like something else. I reached the corner that opened into the central atrium, and that's when I noticed something else. The play area was empty, completely empty. The slides, the mats, the climbing structure, everything exactly the same. But the kid was gone. I stopped walking, confused. I looked around the atrium, nothing. No movement, no footsteps, no child. "Kid?" I called out. My voice echoed through the empty mall. No answer. I stepped into the play area and scanned every corner with my flashlight. Nothing. No kid. No signs anyone had even been there. A strange feeling crawled up my spine. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe it was just a shadow or a reflection. Still uneasy, I turned around and headed back toward the security office. 2 minutes later, I stepped back inside. The monitors were still glowing. Everything looked normal. I sat down in the chair and looked at camera 17 again. The play area was still empty. I let out a small breath. "Yeah," I said quietly. "Definitely imagined it." I took another sip of coffee, then my eyes drifted to the monitor again, and my stomach dropped. Because the kid was back, standing in the play area again, in the exact same spot, perfectly still, and staring directly into the camera. But this time, he was smiling. Part 2. The last camera in the mall. For a few seconds, I couldn't move. The kid on the screen was still standing in the middle of the play area. Same position, same clothes, same small body standing perfectly still. But now, he was smiling. Not a normal smile. Not the kind kids give when they see a camera. It was slow. Too wide. Like he had been standing there waiting for me to come back. A cold knot formed in my stomach. "Okay. That's not funny," I whispered. I grabbed the mouse again and zoomed in closer. The camera image sharpened. The boy looked about 7 years old. Dark hoodie, jeans, messy hair. His head tilted slightly to one side. And his eyes were locked directly onto the camera lens, locked onto me. I felt a strange chill move up my spine. Because security cameras in the mall were mounted high on the ceiling. No kid should even know where to look. But he was staring straight into it, like he knew exactly where I was. I leaned back slowly in the chair. "All right," I muttered. "No more guessing." I grabbed the radio again, even though I knew the building was empty. "Westbrook security check," I said into it. "Anyone inside the mall respond." Nothing. Just static. The boy didn't move. He just kept smiling, watching the camera, watching me. I stood up again. "Fine," I said under my breath. "Let's do this again." I grabbed the flashlight and started toward the door. But something made me pause. A thought. If the kid was real, and he was still standing in the play area, then I should be able to see him on the other cameras too. So instead of leaving immediately, I switched the monitor layout.
With caution.
Camera 17 filled the screen. Then I opened the nearby cameras. Camera 16, Camera 18, Camera 19. 3 different angles of the same atrium, all showing the play area. Only Camera 17 had the kid. The other cameras showed nothing. The play area was empty. I leaned forward slowly. "Wait, what?" I switched back and forth. Camera 17, kid standing there. Camera 16, empty. Camera 18, empty. My chest tightened. That made no sense. All those cameras covered the same space. If the kid was standing there, every camera should show him. But only one did. A strange pressure built in my chest, like the room suddenly felt smaller. I stared at camera 17 again. The kid was still smiling. still staring at the lens. Then something else happened. He moved. Just slightly. He raised one hand and waved slowly. Right at the camera. Right at me. A shiver ran through my arms. I grabbed the flashlight again. Yeah, I muttered. Nope. This time I wasn't waiting. I opened the security office door and stepped into the hallway again. The mall felt colder now, more silent than before. My footsteps echoed as I walked toward the atrium again. 1 minute, 2 minutes. I reached the corner and turned toward the play area. Empty, completely empty again. No kid, no movement, nothing. I shined my flashlight across the foam mats, behind the slide, under the climbing structure. Nothing. I checked every corner, still nothing. My chest felt tight. Okay, I said quietly. That's really not funny. I turned and walked back toward the security office again. But this time, something felt different. The hallway felt darker, colder. And when I stepped back into the office, I noticed something strange. The monitors were flickering, just slightly. Static flashed across one of the screens. I sat down slowly. Then I looked at camera 17 again. The kid was still there. Still smiling. Still staring at the camera. But now he wasn't standing in the play area anymore. He was standing closer. Near the entrance of the atrium. Closer to the hallway. Closer to the security office. My heartbeat started to rise. I switched to another camera. Camera 12. The hallway leading toward the security office. Empty. I switched back. Camera 17. The kid had moved again. Now he was even closer to the hallway. Still smiling. Still staring. My hands felt cold. Okay. That's impossible, I whispered. I opened camera 12 again. Still empty. But camera 17 clearly showed the boy walking. Slow. Steady. Toward the hallway. Toward me. My throat felt dry. I opened more cameras. Camera 11, camera 10, camera 9. Every hallway camera between the atrium and the security room. All empty, except one, camera 7. The hallway just outside the security office. And standing at the end of that hallway was the boy, perfectly still, looking directly into the camera again. I felt my heart slam in my chest. That hallway was only 20 feet from my door. And the worst part? I hadn't heard a single footstep. I stared at the screen. The boy's smile slowly grew wider. Then the camera feed flickered. Static flashed across the monitor. For half a second, the image disappeared. When it came back, the hallway was empty. My stomach dropped. Because that meant only one thing. He wasn't in the hallway anymore. He was closer. Much closer. And that's when I heard it. A sound from behind me. Very soft. Very quiet. 3 small knocks. On the security room door. Part 3. The last camera in the mall. The knocking was soft. 3 taps. Slow. Deliberate. For a moment, I didn't move. My eyes were still locked on the monitor showing the empty hallway outside the security room. The camera showed nothing. No kid. No movement. Just the long hallway and the closed security door. The same door someone had just knocked on. My chest tightened. Another 3 taps echoed through the room. Knock. 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 The sound was gentle. Almost polite. But something about it made my skin crawl. Because the hallway camera was still empty. I stared at the screen. Then slowly turned my head toward the door behind me. The door was solid metal. No window. No way to see through it. The knocking stopped. The silence that followed felt heavier than the noise. Mall security, I called out. My voice sounded smaller than I expected. No answer. Just silence. I swallowed. Kid, if you're lost, you need to step away from the door. Still nothing. I slowly reached for the radio on the desk. My fingers felt numb. Westbrook security to local dispatch, I said quietly. Possible trespasser inside the building. Static filled the speaker. Then the dispatcher answered. Go ahead, Westbrook. My voice came out tight. I've got a child inside the mall after hours. Possible break-in. Requesting police assistance. Copy that, the dispatcher replied. Units are on the way. I set the radio down. My eyes drifted back to the monitors. Every hallway camera was still empty, except one. Camera 7. The hallway outside the security room. For half a second, I thought I imagined it, but the image changed. On the camera flickered. Then the boy appeared again, standing directly in front of the security room door, right outside, looking up at the camera and smiling. My stomach dropped. Because if he was outside the door, then the knocking had just come from exactly where he was standing. I slowly turned toward the door again. Silence. Then the knocking came again. Knock, knock, knock. My heart started pounding. I looked back at the monitor. The boy's face was still pointed directly at the camera, still smiling. Then something happened that made my blood run cold. The boy slowly raised his hand and pointed, not at the camera, not down the hallway. He was pointing through the door, into the room, at me. My breath caught. How do you... I started. Then the monitor flickered again. The image distorted. Hot static filled the screen for half a second, and when it cleared, the hallway was empty again. I felt every muscle in my body tighten. The kid wasn't on the camera anymore, which meant he was no longer in the hallway, which meant he was somewhere else, somewhere the cameras couldn't see. The room felt colder, too quiet. Then something moved behind me, very slowly. A soft sound, like a shoe sliding across tile. My entire body froze, because there was only one place behind me, the security room, and I was supposed to be alone inside it. I didn't turn around immediately. My eyes slowly moved toward the monitor wall. Every camera feed was still visible. Food court, parking garage, escalators, hallways, everything empty. Then one screen flickered. Camera 3. The one inside the security room. I slowly looked at it, and my heart stopped. The camera showed the security office, the desk, the monitors, the chair, and me, sitting in front of the screens. But I wasn't alone. Standing directly behind my chair was the boy, still smiling, still staring, right at the camera, right at me. I turned around so fast the chair slammed into the desk. The room behind me was empty. No kid. No movement. Nothing. My breathing became fast and shallow.